Oh, goodness, goodness, goodness. Oh, I've made a teeter-totter out of this one. All right, good gracious, I'm sweaty and covered in sawdust. I've kind of tarred and feathered myself, but I was going to tell you a little bit before we get some splitting video done that the firewood community is kind of unique. You can learn a ton of great tactics and tips from other guys. They'll advise you, they'll tell you what worked for them, what didn't. They'll let you do your own thing. The only thing I've ever seen somebody get, not hostile, but it seems to be really confrontational or adversarial, I don't know, is when you talk about sharpening chainsaws. Everybody has their own method, and their grandpa taught them something. If you did it wrong, you're an idiot. And if you take less than 20 seconds to cut through a 24-inch round with your 500i, then you got a dull saw and you're an idiot. But overall, firewood community is pretty awesome. Even those guys that give you grief, they're helping, I guess, your YouTube channel because they give you all kinds of content. But I wanted to talk about something, a technique that I may or may not disagree with. My buddy over at Foothills Firewood, Britt, he's got an awesome setup, and he does a great job when it comes to these big rounds. I'm talking 24, 36-inch rounds that he cuts on his, or splits on his wolf ridge. And I tell you, the bigger the wood, that heartwood usually makes just great firewood. Now, those big rounds are a lot to deal with. They're heavy, they're clunky, they're dangerous. They're heavy, all the things. So he's got a method, and I'll put a link in the comments or in the description if I can figure that out. He splits the wood off center, so that way when the heaviest pieces fall away from him, and he tries to direct them toward his lift to his log table, and then he works on that one little quarter, gets that done, and he's got a great video on how his method is, and I think you should probably take a look at that. I don't have a wolf ridge. I don't have an adjustable wedge. I have a rugged made, so I can't find the center the way that he does. And so my pieces get a little clunky sometimes. And I found that the big wood is good for the product, but man, sometimes it's dangerous, sometimes it's heavy. And if I hurt myself, then I don't know if I can get out here for weeks and have to recover. I'm older probably than Britt, beat up a little bit from my military time, who knows. But I love this technique. But what I did is, as you can tell, as I kind of teeter-totter here, I went ahead and took my saw and I noodled up a couple of these big rounds. They don't roll as well as Britt talks about in his video, but they're a little easier to manage. So I'm probably going to set up the tripod, and I'm going to do a couple of these halves, and then maybe I'll do this one big round that I haven't split or haven't noodled down the middle, and just see. I'm not going to do a stopwatch comparison. We're just going to see how it works. And you guys throw it in the comments and let me know. Is his method better than mine? Is it because he has a better machine and it's a combination of a good tactic? Who knows? But we're going to go ahead and get started. Well, I know nothing in firewood is uniform because the pieces are different, the rounds are different consistency. This big one that I tried to split, my buddy Britt's way, a little punky in the middle, had a big knot, had some trouble, had a big portion growing off the end, so it wasn't round, didn't roll real well, so I had some trouble getting it positioned. I think bottom line is the time you spend noodling it down in half and quarters and then having to move the quarters or the halves that don't roll as well worth it, as opposed to just putting the big round on there and going with my buddy's method. To me, I think getting them quartered is better. To me, it'd be great. I'd love if I had one of those skid steer. They could pinch it and just pop it in half, maybe make quarters out of these big rounds, because we do like the big rounds from the tree service. They are full of just beautiful hardwood. You can get all through the bark, you can have some rot on the bark, and you can throw away 2-3 inches on around the outside, but you still got 20 to 24 inches of perfect firewood on the inside. This is all post oak, so I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but yeah, as long as you got a sharp saw and you can kind of get it noodled most of the way through, don't hit the dirt obviously, or you'll get a dull chainsaw and everybody will make fun of you. But I don't know, maybe Wolfridge guys want to send me a better splitter, see if maybe that adjustable wedge will make a big difference. Right now, Rugged Made, hard to find in the center. I took the 4-way off because I've done that before where it kind of got hung and I couldn't get it off there. You saw it get stuck a little, but at the end of the day, I think you got to get them into manageable chunks. My buddy does a great job of getting them manageable chunks all while he's standing there at the splitter on his log table, and it makes for a fast, easy process for him, and he makes beautiful firewood, and it's some of the best product. If you're in North Carolina, you should buy all your firewood from Britt. But if for me, I'm probably going to end up noodling them into at least halves and work with them, just because it seems like it might save my back, save my energy. And it is Louisiana, and it is 100 degrees and humid, so making firewood is already challenging. It's really challenging to wrestle with these 300-pound pieces of wood. So anyway, that's the video for the day. Like and subscribe if you can. I'll put a link down there to my buddy's channel. I'll go over there and like and subscribe him as well. Thank you.